Good morning, Eunice. Welcome back to Cardinal Radio.
Good morning.
It is Saturday, January 31st, 2026. And if you're just tuning in, grab your coffee.
Yeah, settle in.
Settle in, because today we need to have a serious talk.
We really do.
You know, we try to keep it light on Saturdays. We talk about sports, the weather, which who knows what it's doing.
It's New Mexico in January, so your guess is as good as mine.
Exactly. But if you've been living here for the past, 6, 7 months, you know there's this cloud.
Oh, it's palpable. It's heavy. You feel it when you go past City Hall.
You do. And the rumors are flying. I mean, the coffee shops, the Facebook groups, it's just out of control. Everyone has a theory.
Everyone's an expert. Everyone knows a guy.
But that's not what we do here. Here at Cardinal Radio, we do deep dives.
That's right. We cut through all that noise and we look at one thing. Just one thing.
The paper trail.
The paper trail. The receipts, as they say. We have a stack of documents in front of us. We've got legal filings. We've got PDFs of policy manuals, screenshots.
So many screenshots.
And they tell a story that I think the City of Eunice would probably prefer stayed buried in a filing cabinet.
But we dug it up. Today, we are pulling on one specific thread in this whole tangled mess.
A very important thread.
We're going to walk through the chronology of Officer Jerry Hawkins.
And that's a key distinction to make right up front. There's been so much talk about the former chief, about sergeants being fired, the lawsuits.
Right, all the big headlines.
But if you actually read the documents, if you follow the timeline, so much of this seems to kick off with Officer Hawkins and his struggle for just basic accountability.
That's what we're going to do today. We are going to look at the massive, gaping canyon between what the City of Eunice claims in its official responses.
Their legal written responses.
And what their own documents, their own website, their own social media actually show.
It's a masterclass in contradiction.
So here's the roadmap. We're going to start back in August of 2025 just to set the scene.
The catalyst.
Then we're going to walk you through a very specific legal request for documents, an IPRA request that was filed to get to the bottom of this.
And then we'll look at the city's response, which deficient is probably the kindest word for it.
Woefully neglected might be another one. And finally, we're going to expose the lies. I don't use that word lightly.
Yeah.
But when you certify in a legal document that something doesn't exist, and your own Facebook page from a year prior proves it does, I mean, what else do you call it?
It's going to be an illuminating hour for the people of Eunice.
Okay, let's dive in. Let's start at the beginning. The catalyst. August 7th, 2025.
Right.
I'm looking at a digital copy of the Hobbs News-Sun, an article written by Christina Holt.
And if you live here, you remember that day. You remember seeing that headline.
Fired officers suing city. I mean, it was everywhere.
It was a bombshell. In a town this size, the police department, it's one of the cornerstones of the community. And all of a sudden, that cornerstone just cracked wide open.
You had former Chief John Frey, gone.
Yeah.
Sergeant Todd Dimmick, gone. Fired.
Just chaos. Absolute chaos.
But buried in that article, beyond the big names, were two other officers mentioned, Jessica Lopez and Jerry Hawkins.
Right. The article says they were placed on administrative leave.
And we know Hawkins eventually came back to duty, but that's not the story here. The story isn't that he got his job back.
No. The real story is why he was on that list in the first place, why he was in the crosshairs.
And the article gives us a clue. It gives us this origin story for the entire mess.
It's a key detail, and it's easy to miss. It says that back in March, so we're talking March of 2025.
Months before the firing.
Months before, the city received a formal complaint against one police officer.
One police officer, not the whole department.
Just one. Now, normally when a city gets a complaint about an officer, there's a process.
Yeah, an internal investigation or something.
You investigate the specific complaint, you talk to the people involved, you look at the evidence related to that complaint. But that is not what happened here.
Yeah.
According to this report, that single complaint, it triggered a citywide audit of timesheets and GPS records for the police department.
Okay, let's just pause on that. You get a complaint about one officer, and your response is to launch a massive forensic audit of everybody's GPS data. Does that sound right to you?
It's highly irregular. It's a massive overreaction, unless...
Unless what?
Unless the audit wasn't the goal.
Yeah.
Unless the audit was the weapon.
The weapon. Explain that.
Think about it. Let's say you have an employee who makes a complaint that you find inconvenient. A complaint you'd rather just disappear.
Okay.
You can't just fire them for complaining. That's retaliation. It's illegal. So what do? You go on a fishing expedition. You look for a pretext.
You look for something else to pin on them.
Exactly. You audit their timesheets, you scrub their GPS logs, police work is messy, calls run over, paperwork gets filed late. If you look hard enough at anyone's time card, especially in a job like that, you are going to find a discrepancy. A minute here, 5 minutes there.
So the theory is that this wasn't about finding time card fraud across the department.
The timing suggests it was about finding a reason to justify action against the person who complained in the first place.
Which brings us back to Officer Hawkins.
Yes. The core issue, the thing simmering under the surface of all this timesheet talk, isn't about minutes and hours on a log. It's about the specific complaint that Officer Hawkins made back in March.
The complaint that started this whole firestorm.
And we need to be very clear about what that complaint was. It wasn't about a broken down patrol car or a scheduling dispute.
No. The documents are clear. We're talking about a complaint of racial discrimination and harassment.
That is a heavy, serious allegation.
And in a small town, that's the kind of thing that makes people very, very uncomfortable.
It makes city leadership uncomfortable. It opens them up to huge legal liability. It looks terrible. So the fundamental question of this whole deep dive becomes,
Do they investigate the racism?
or did they just investigate the timesheets of the man who reported the racism?
That is the million-dollar question. And guess what? We are not the only people who are asking it.
Not by a long shot.
Which brings us to our next chapter, the investigation. Not by the city, but of the city.
By a private citizen.
A citizen named Aisha Lyle. And I have to say, looking at the documents she filed, she was not messing around.
No, this was a meticulously crafted request.
So let's fast forward. It's November 23rd, 2025. The lawsuits are public, the town is buzzing with rumors, and Aisha Lyle files a formal request under the Inspection of Public Records Act, or IPRA.
And for anyone listening who isn't a legal expert, let's just quickly explain IPRA. It's often called a sunshine law.
Right.
It basically means that the government's records belong to you, the public. An email sent by the city manager on a city account. That's your email. A memo. That's your memo. You have a right to see how your government is operating.
It's the public's right to see the receipts for how their tax money is being spent.
That's a perfect way to put it.
And Aisha Lyle was asking to see some very specific receipts. She wasn't just fishing. She was targeting the heart of the matter.
Absolutely. She was looking for the paper trail for the Hawkins complaint. I have her request right here, and it's a bulleted list. Each bullet point is designed to close a potential loophole for the city.
Let's walk through it, because what she asked for tells you what she suspected was going on.
Okay, so the very first thing she asked for was, and I'm quoting, the complete complaint of racial discrimination and harassment filed by Officer Jerry Hawkins.
The complete complaint. Why is that word complete so important?
Because it stops them from playing games. It prevents them from sending you, say, a heavily redacted version or just the cover page or a summary they wrote. Complete means give me everything, every page, every email, every attachment.
And she's specific. She notes it was presented to then Mayor Billy Hobbs.
Again, she's showing them she knows the basics of the story. She's establishing the chain of custody. She also asks for any memos, emails, or even documented verbal complaints.
Why verbal?
Ah, that's a smart move. Because a common way to dismiss these things is to say, well, he never put it in writing.
It wasn't a formal complaint.
Exactly. She's closing that door. She's saying, if he sent it to his supervisor and that supervisor made a note of it, I want that note. That note is a public record.
That is really smart. Okay, what else did she ask for?
She asked for the follow-up, the response. She wanted any and all investigation notes from Human Resources or from the city manager, Shannon Cummins.
So show me you actually looked into it.
Show me your work. And then she gets even more specific. She asks for records showing that this complaint was reported to the HR manager, Candelaria Brito.
So she's naming names now.
She is. She's building a map.
Huh.
Hawkins told the mayor. Did the mayor tell the city manager? Did the city manager tell HR? She's forcing them to connect the dots or admit the dots were never connected.
And then the request pivots. This part, to me, is just brilliant. It goes from the specific incident to the systemic infrastructure.
This is the most strategic part of the whole request, in my opinion. She asked for the identity of the city's designated DEI or harassment coordinator.
DEI meaning diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Correct. She's basically asking, who's in charge of this stuff? If an employee has a problem like this, whose door are they supposed to knock on? Give me a name and a title.
Because there has to be someone, right?
There should be. It's standard practice. You have to have a designated point person for these issues. And she didn't just want the name.
She wanted to know if they were qualified.
Precisely. The next request is for proof of anti-harassment or DEI training that this person has received in the last 5 years.
Show me their certifications. Show me they know what they're doing.
Prove that the person in charge is actually trained to be in charge. And then the final piece, she asks for the rule book itself. The city's written policies on how to report racial discrimination.
Wow. So when you look at that whole list together, what's the story she's trying to uncover?
She's testing the system from top to bottom. She's asking, did an employee use the system? Did he complain? Who did he tell? Did the system work? Did you investigate? Who is running the system? And is that person even qualified?
It's an airtight request. Because if the city did everything by the book, this would be the easiest IPRA in the world to answer.
It would be a simple data dump. You'd get back an email saying, sure, here's a PDF, the complaint, here are the investigator's notes, here's the final report, and by the way, our HR director is Candy Brito, and here's her training certificate from last year. Done.
It would take an afternoon.
If everything was handled properly, yes.
I have a feeling it wasn't that easy.
We wouldn't be having this conversation if it was.
Okay, so this brings us to the city's response. And this is where the story takes a turn from, standard procedure into the bizarre.
It's December 8th, 2025. The response comes from City Clerk Candelaria Brito. Remember that name, it's important.
Candelaria Brito. So she responds to this incredibly detailed surgical request for investigation notes, emails, training certs.
All of it.
And what does the City of Eunice provide?
They provide a PDF, a generic 2-page PDF.
Of the investigation.
No, of the City of Eunice Personnel Policy Manual.
Wait. They sent the employee handbook.
That is exactly what they sent. Specifically, Section 2.08 titled Unlawful Harassment and Section 15.01 Grievances.
Hold on, let me make sure I understand this.
Yeah.
A citizen asks, show me the proof that you investigated a specific claim of racial discrimination. And the city's formal legal response is to send a blank copy of their own rules that say, we don't allow discrimination.
You have it exactly right.
That is just insulting.
Yeah.
That even legal.
It's a classic bureaucratic dodge. I call it the menu defense.
The menu defense.
Yeah, it's like you go to a restaurant, you order a steak, and the waiter brings it to you completely raw. You complain and say, this is raw, I want to see the cook's notes, I want to know what happened in the kitchen.
Right.
And the manager comes out, hands you a copy of the menu, points to the description of the steak, and says, see, our menu says we serve a perfectly grilled 10-ounce ribeye.
But my steak is still sitting here raw.
Exactly. Handing over the policy manual proves nothing except that the city knows how to write down a policy. It provides zero evidence that they actually followed that policy in the specific case of Officer Jerry Hawkins.
Let's actually look at what they sent. I've got Section 2.08 here. It's a lot of boilerplate legal language.
It's standard stuff. It says the city prohibits retaliation. It says the city is proud of its work environment where individuals are treated with respect and dignity.
It defines harassment. It includes derogatory statements, intimidation, pranks, all the usual things.
But look at the section on responsibility. Read that part.
Okay, it says supervisors are responsible for keeping the workplace free of harassment. And here it is, quote, when the city becomes aware of the existence of harassment, it is obligated by law to take prompt and appropriate action.
Obligated by law. They put that in their own manual.
And then they also sent the grievance policy, which just outlines the steps an employee should take.
So, you see the game, they're showing the menu, they're showing the process on paper, but by sending only this, and not the actual documents that were requested, the message is deafening.
The message is that the proof of execution doesn't exist.
Or that they don't want to share it. They're admitting they have a duty, but when asked for proof they fulfilled that duty, they just point back to the rule book that says they have a duty. It's completely circular.
But Aisha Lyle didn't just give up there.
No, she pushed back, and that's when the city had to show its next card.
Right. So about a week later, on December 17th, another letter comes from Candelaria Brito. And this is where they pull out the big legal shield.
This is where they create the black box. In this letter, Brito writes that any records about complaints or investigations are considered personnel records.
And are therefore exempt from disclosure under IPRA.
Bingo. The personnel exemption. They're saying, we can't show you if we investigated the racism complaint because that would violate the officer's privacy. It's in his personnel file.
Now, okay, employee privacy is a real thing. I get that.
It is.
But we're talking about official misconduct. We're talking about an allegation of racial discrimination within a public police department. Can you really just hide the entire investigation behind the personnel excuse?
It is a massive gray area that government bodies love to exploit. But just think about the optics of it. They are refusing to even confirm or deny that an investigation took place. They are using one employee's privacy as a shield to hide their own actions or lack thereof.
It feels like a cover-up. I'm not saying it is one, but it has the distinct smell of one. Trust us, we handled it, but we can't show you proof of how we handled it.
And that raises a really fundamental question for the public. Is accountability a private matter? When a public servant alleges racial discrimination in a public agency, does the public not have a right to know if that was taken seriously?
Or are we just supposed to trust the same city managers who responded to the complaint by launching an audit against the complainant?
Apparently so.
Yeah.
But, and this is where this deep dive goes completely off the rails, they didn't just hide behind the exemption.
No, they didn't.
In that same December 17th letter, they made some other specific claims. Claims that we can check.
This is the part of the story I call the internet is forever.
It's unbelievable. This is where we get into the flat-out contradictions. Let's start with the HR person.
Right. Aisha Lyle asked, who is the designated person for handling discrimination complaints?
A simple question. And in the December 17th letter, Candelaria Brito writes this, and it's a mouthful of legalese. Quote, "The city does not maintain separate records designating specific individuals beyond department head, HR, city manager, nor does it maintain centralized records of training certifications."
Okay, translated from lawyer speak into English, what does that mean?
It means we don't have one specific person you can point to. It's just sort of a general responsibility.
Yeah.
She is actively refusing to name a designated individual.
She's making it foggy, diffusing responsibility.
Exactly. But we have a screenshot.
We do. A screenshot of the City of Eunice's own official website from the Human Resources page.
And tell the listeners what you see on that screenshot.
It says City Clerk. And then, clear as day, it says Candy Brito. Also serves as Human Resources overseeing personnel issues such as grievances, discrimination issues.
Let's just let that sink in.
The person who signed the letter saying the city does not maintain records designating specific individuals.
Is the exact person whose public bio on the city website designates her as that specific individual.
The website literally says Candy Brito handles discrimination issues. The letter, signed by Candy Brito, says, we don't have records of who handles discrimination issues.
Why would you do that? What is the possible motive for playing dumb in a legal response?
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is that she's trying to distance herself from this situation, personally.
I think that's the most plausible explanation. If you admit in a legal document, yes, I, Candelaria Brito, am the person responsible for handling racial discrimination complaints, then the failure to properly handle the Hawkins complaint lands directly on your desk.
You become the target of the lawsuit.
But if your official response is, gosh, we don't really have a designated person for that, it becomes this vague institutional failure. It's nobody's fault because it was everybody's and therefore nobody's job.
It's bureaucratic gaslighting.
It is. Who's in charge of this? Who knows? While her own online bio is screaming, "It's ME!"
It's honestly incredible. But you know what? That's not even the most stunning contradiction we found.
No, not even close. The biggest one, the one that is almost impossible to explain away, is about the training.
The DEI training. This is the critical piece of the puzzle. Remember, Aisha Lyle asked for proof that the relevant staff had received diversity, equity, and inclusion training.
And in that same December 17th, 2025 letter, Candelaria Brito gives a very, very clear answer. Quote, "The city does not maintain records reflecting formal DEI initiatives, statements, or programs. The city hereby certifies their non-existence."
Certifies their non-existence. That's not ambiguous.
It's not. That's a legal declaration. It means this does not exist. It has never existed. We have no records of it.
Okay, non-existence. Everyone, hold that word in your mind. Because now I want you to look at this other document we have. It's a screenshot.
A screenshot from the official Facebook page for the City of Eunice, New Mexico.
It's a public post from the city itself. Can you read the date on that Facebook post?
The date of the post is December 17th, 2024.
And the date of the legal letter denying the existence of DEI training.
December 17th, 2025.
Exactly 1 year later. To the day.
I still can't get over that detail. On the literal 1-year anniversary of the training, they sent a legal letter certifying the training never existed.
You could not write this in a movie. Nobody would believe it.
It's stranger than fiction.
So what does the Facebook post from 2024 actually say?
It's a cheerful, public-facing post. It says, "Today, city employees participated in workplace bullying and violence and diversity, equality, and inclusion training put on by Jimmy Glasscock with the New Mexico Municipal League."
Diversity, equality, and inclusion, DEI.
They spelled it out, they named the trainer, they thank him for the great training. There's even a picture of the employees in the session.
So let's put these two pieces of paper side by side. On one side, we have the city clerk legally certifying under IPRA that no records of any formal DEI initiatives exist.
Non-existence.
And on the other side, we have the city's own social media account from exactly 1 year prior, publicly bragging about hosting that exact training.
So the question is, why? Why lie about this? This is the one that baffles me. Normally, an organization facing a discrimination lawsuit would be desperate to prove they did training.
Of course, it's your first line of defense. You'd run into court waiving that training certificate saying, look, we're not liable, we trained our people, we hired the guy from the municipal league, it's not our fault if someone didn't listen.
Training is your shield. It's what lawyers call an affirmative defense. It shows you were trying to do the right thing.
So why hide it? Why pretend it never happened? What is the strategic advantage of lying about something so easily provable?
Well, there are a few possibilities, and none of them make the city look good. Possibility one is just pure, gross incompetence.
Like they literally lost the paperwork and forgot they did it.
Maybe. Maybe their record keeping is so abysmal that the person responding to the IPRA genuinely didn't know about a major training session that was blasted on their own Facebook page. It's possible, but it implies a level of dysfunction that is terrifying.
Okay, what's possibility two?
Possibility two is that it's political. You know, in some circles, DEI has become a loaded term. Maybe they just wanted to distance themselves from the entire concept. DEI, no, we don't do that stuff here.
That seems incredibly petty and short-sighted when you're in the middle of a racial discrimination lawsuit.
It does, which leads to the third, and I think most likely, possibility. It's a calculated but flawed legal strategy.
Go on.
Think about the timeline. The DEI training with Jimmy Glasscock was in December 2024.
Right.
Officer Hawkins filed his racial discrimination complaint in March 2025.
That's what, only 3 months later?
Barely 3 months. Now, if the city admits, yes, our supervisors and staff all took a DEI and anti-harassment class in December, what does that say about the complaint that landed 3 months later?
It says the training didn't work.
It says the training failed. But more importantly, from a legal standpoint, it establishes knowledge. It proves the city was on notice. Their staff knew what harassment was. They knew the rules. They had just been trained on it.
So they can't fall back on ignorance. They can't say, oh, we're just a small town. We didn't realize that kind of talk was inappropriate.
Exactly. Taking the class means you are held to a higher standard of conduct. By denying the training ever happened, they might be trying to play dumb. They're trying to argue, how could we have properly investigated this complaint? We didn't have the tools or the training.
So it's a choice between looking incompetent because the training failed or looking incompetent because you never had the training in the first place.
And they seem to have chosen the latter, hoping no one would find the Facebook post. They're trying to create a narrative of feigned helplessness. We have no designated HR person for this. We have no DEI training. Of course, we fumbled it.
But again,
yeah,
the internet is written in ink. And Isha Lyle had the receipts.
and now we all have them?
It paints a picture of a city hall in full-blown panic mode. They're tripping over their own public statements, trying to create a legal defense.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave.
No. We've been deep in the weeds of paperwork here. PDFs, policy manuals, timelines, and it's easy to get caught up in the gotcha of it all.
It is. It's intellectually satisfying to point out the contradictions.
But we need to zoom out. We need to talk about the so what of this. Because this isn't an administrative game. There are real people involved.
At the center of this storm of paper is a human being, Officer Jerry Hawkins.
And that brings us to the final section of our deep dive today, the human cost.
Because when an employer woefully neglects to address a complaint of racial discrimination, when they stonewall, when they audit the victim, when they lie about their own training, the damage isn't just to their legal credibility.
You leave that employee hanging out to dry. You leave them exposed.
Completely exposed. You create a vacuum. If the city had been transparent, if they had said, we investigated this complaint and here are our findings, that would have set a tone. You would have sent a message.
But they didn't. They hid inside their personnel exemption, black box. And in that silence, Other voices fill the void.
And we have direct evidence of what that sounds like. We're looking at a screenshot from a recent Facebook discussion about this very topic.
I want to be very clear with our listeners. We are not here to pick a fight with a random person on the internet. That's not the point.
No, this isn't about debating an internet troll. We are highlighting this specific comment because it serves as validation. It proves that the hostile environment Officer Hawkins complained about is real, and it is ongoing.
The commenting on a post about the lawsuits. And what does this user say?
The comment reads, using the black card knowing damn well he was being protected by Dimmick and Frey, obviously all them suing together.
Using the black card.
Let's just focus on that phrase. Using the black card.
It's a racist trope. There is no other interpretation. It's a disgusting, dismissive phrase used to invalidate the legitimate grievances of a black person by reducing their struggle to a cynical ploy based on their race.
It is an ugly, racially charged attack, and it's being made publicly right now in our community.
This is the climate that Officer Hawkins is trying to work in. He makes a formal complaint that he is experiencing racial harassment and a hostile environment.
The city's response is to audit him and then hide the paper trail.
And now, with the city's failure to address the issue, members of the public feel emboldened to go online and accuse him of using the black card.
Comment is the smoking gun that proves the core of Hawkins' complaint was legitimate. The racial animus exists. It's not in his head. It's right there on Facebook for everyone to see.
It proves he wasn't making it up. The very thing he complained about is still happening to him out in the open.
And the city's silence, their evasiveness, their lies, it's a form of condoning it. If you are an employer and your employee is being racially harassed and you do nothing, you are complicit.
Their own policy manual, Section 2.08, says the city is obligated by law to take prompt and appropriate action to ensure a work environment free from intimidation, hostility, or other offenses.
Just words on a page. When you look at the city's actions and you look at comments like that one, can anyone in Eunice honestly claim that Officer Hawkins is being provided an environment free from hostility?
It's impossible. His employer's pretending the training to prevent this never even happened. It's a profound betrayal.
A betrayal of their employee and a betrayal of the public's trust.
So let's bring this all together. You're listening to this at home, you're driving in your car, and maybe you're thinking this is a mess. But I'm not a cop. I don't work at City Hall. Why should this matter to me?
It matters because you are paying for all of this.
Every cent of it.
You pay the salary of the city clerk who signs these letters. You pay the city manager. You pay the insurance premiums that are going to go through the roof because of these lawsuits that stem from this failure. You paid for Jimmy Glasscock to come give that great training that they now deny ever happened.
And at a more basic level, you rely on this police department to keep you safe. You need a department that is functional, that has good morale, where officers are focused on their jobs, not on defending themselves from audits and fighting off racial slurs.
An organization that is rotting from the inside out cannot effectively protect the community on the outside. It's just not possible.
Let's just run through the timeline one last time, just to really absorb the absurdity of it.
Let's do it.
March 2025. Officer Hawkins files a complaint about racial discrimination.
The city's response is to investigate his timesheets.
December 2025. The lawsuits hit the papers.
November 2025. A citizen files an IPRA asking, what did you do about the racism?
December 2025. The city responds by sending a blank employee handbook.
And then when pushed, they claim, we don't have a designated person for handling that.
Even though their own website says that Candelaria Brito is that person.
And they claim we have absolutely no records of any DEI training.
Even though their own Facebook page has pictures of the training session.
And through it all, the officer at the center of the complaint is still being publicly attacked with racist language.
It is a house of cards, and it is collapsing under the weight of its own lies.
It is. The City of Eunice, its leadership, they cannot just hit delete on history. You can't just pretend things didn't happen.
Not when citizens are taking screenshots.
That's the power of these sunshine laws.
Yeah.
They force the truth into the light, even when officials are trying to pull the shades down.
And we need to be clear. These documents, these contradictions, the difference between the legal letters and the Facebook posts, they haven't just been discussed here on the radio.
No, they have been forwarded to oversight bodies. This information is now in the hands of people whose job it is to investigate this kind of behavior.
But the most important oversight body is you, the people of Eunice.
Without a doubt.
Public accountability is not optional. It is required. When your city government refuses to even name the person responsible for handling discrimination.
When they lie about training that they themselves celebrated publicly.
They are failing in their most basic duty. They are failing to protect their own employees. And you have to ask yourself, if they won't protect one of their own police officers from racial harassment, who will they protect?
That's the question everyone in Eunice needs to be asking today.
This isn't about rumors anymore.
Yeah.
The documents are here. The contradictions are clear. Go to the city council meetings. Email your representatives. Ask the hard questions. Demand that the actions of City Hall live up to the promises in the city manual. Demand the truth. No more menu defense. We've seen the menu. We want to know what's happening in the kitchen.
We want the truth, because right now, the city's silence is deafening, and their lies are screaming.
They are.
We're going to leave it there for today, but our investigation is not over. We will continue to follow this story and Officer Hawkins' fight for accountability every single step of the way.
We absolutely will.
This has been a deep dive on Cardinal Radio. Stay informed, Eunice.